let's talk about cleaning out our Dubsados. So once you're using Dubsado for a long time, things can start to get a little sloppy behind the scenes, especially when it comes to creating templates. A lot of times you'll just create new templates and new templates to use as you move forward and change things in your business, and you never really stop to consider what items, templates you do not need anymore, and so it just builds and builds, and all of a sudden you have a mess and you can't even figure out like where things are supposed to go. So it is officially summer, and I've been wanting to make this video since spring because let's talk spring cleaning, but I failed to get it out in time. So now we're gonna talk summer cleaning. Anyways, I am Lauren with The Smarter Creative, and I help creative, busy entrepreneurs work smarter in their business instead of harder. I am a certified Dubsado specialist, so I love all things Dubsado and helping you work smarter inside of it because it is a amazing system to help you stay organized in your business. And also, don't mind me, I got this ring light because it's super rainy here today for a little backlight, and my glasses that I normally wear have this ring of light around them, and I feel like that would be more distracting than not. Anyways, so they're off, but I cannot see, so if I'm distracted, that is why. So the first thing I do when I go through and clean up my Dubsado is I look at all projects, and I go through all my current jobs that are there and all the leads, and I archive anybody that needs to be archived. I follow up with anybody that needs to be followed up with, and just clean out all of my projects. And just to note, when you archive a project, it will stop all workflow automations from happening, but it will not stop any recurring invoices that created, which boggles my mind. So make sure you stop any recurring invoices. And if they've scheduled an appointment with you, it basically considers it still booked. So it'll still send out confirmation emails and stuff. But it will, if it's a lead, if you have any open invoices with them, it'll delete that invoice. And if it's a job, it'll close it out. So it will not send any payment reminders when you archive. And yeah, it's just a really nice way to get them cleared out of your views and make sure you're only dealing with the current people that you should be dealing with. And I know sometimes it just like stacks up, and if you don't have your automations auto archiving people, you have to manually go in and do that. The next thing I start to do is work through my templates, and I start with all of my forms. So what I like to do is in my list of forms, go through and open them up. And if it's not what I'm currently using, I tend to put a big X at the top of the title. I can see in my view what forms I'm not currently using and what are old, because it can get really confusing the way that Dubsado organizes forms, and it's always organized from top to bottom in alphabetical order or by emoji order if you like to use emojis. I like to relabel them, and then I'll go through and delete them. It will tell you, it'll stop you if you're trying to delete a form that's currently being used in a workflow. So if a workflow is currently trying to send out a form and you delete it, and it'll say you cannot do that because there's a workflow utilizing that. So now you need to pause and be like, shoot, if I'm not using this form, why is that workflow utilizing it as well? And it's at this point I tend to go over to the workflow, look at it. Is it a workflow I'm currently using, or is it an old one? If it's an old one, I delete it. If it's one I'm currently using, then I update it to pull the correct form that it should be pulling from, because it should not be pulling the form that I do not use. That should not be happening in your business. Is at this point, as I open up each form, I'll go through and read through it real quick, make any adjustments that I need to do. Maybe my FAQs have changed, hours have changed, whatever pieces of information have changed, I go through and update all of that. I will say, I don't necessarily just delete all of the forms if I want to save a copy of them. Now, you may or may not know this, but when you have a project for a client and you add a form to that client project, that form basically gets copied onto their project. So if in the future you ever want to reuse a form that you sent to a client, you can always go into that client form. I like to duplicate that form, and once you have it open, you can save it as a template and it'll take it back into your templates. So no forms that you've sent a client have ever been lost, so long as you only archive those projects, you never delete them. All that being said, I personally really like having a project that literally is an archive of forms. So before I delete forms, unless they were honestly just test forms that I've been like just playing around with, testing out the new features in Dubsado, I will put that form, whatever it is, onto my archive project and make sure that I just have a list of all forms there. Can get a little overwhelming. Maybe if you're smart, and I'll probably do this next year, I'll have an annual archive of forms. So these are all the forms I archived in 2023 and so on and so forth. So it's not so overwhelming, because as you grow in your business, the forms that you were using 2 years ago, you most likely will never have to touch them again, but it's nice to see them, what you used to do. I don't know. I like having the trackability on them. And then once it's on that project for that archive, then I'll delete it out of my templates because I don't need it. And I can always save it as a template in the future if I really need it back. Then I'm gonna look at my templates of schedulers. So schedulers for me can get a little bit messy. I can get some added on that really shouldn't be there. So I make sure the schedulers that I'm actually using are the actual schedulers that are listed. Make sure if there's any pricing that goes with it, it's correct. Make sure my availability during the days are correct. Now this is not day to day, like, oh, on July 4th, I'm out of office, therefore I should clear my availability on that template for July 4th. Do not do that, it's far too much work. Make sure you just block off on the calendar that you have synced with Dubsado, that Dubsado is looking for appointment conflicts. Block out July 4th there, not on the individual scheduler templates, because again, once that template is duplicated onto your client's account, it's no longer using the template, it's using that like new copy that's on the project. So the templates are really for overarching, this is how I want to use this template moving forward. I no longer want to take discovery calls on Monday because I'm focused doing client work or whatever it is. And then you can remove Monday availability from that specific call. Or maybe you do client work only on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and so you only want your calls those 2 days, so you remove the rest of the days. So that is, my puppy is sleeping. Okay, I don't know if you hear him dreaming. That's what that sound is. But yeah, go through and update all those schedulers. And then the last thing I make sure to update are my workflows. So I'll go through my workflows. I just read through them, maybe open them up, check my emails, and update those workflows. And I also pay attention to the bits of my process that I have been doing manually. So sometimes if I'm trying out a new service or somebody asks for a one-off something and I do it all manually inside of Dubsado, maybe it's at this point that I actually want to create a workflow for that process that I just created, for it to be built in for the automations of what I need it to do. And it's surprising to me how much every 6 months to a year or so, you really should be updating those workflows, because also once it's set up, you can add additional functionality. So maybe you do want to send out an additional form, or you want to send out a different form, or you want to attach your W-9 to your client portal for your client. Whatever it is, just to walk through those workflows, make sure it's exactly what you want to have happen moving forward. I generally don't update those for current client projects. I just think of it for the future use of what I want to do. And that's it. Now at that point, my Dubsado's cleaned up. I have a fresh set mind when I open up my Dubsado and can see everything well. And I hope that was super helpful for you. If your Dubsado is a super mess and you don't even know how to update your workflows, that is what I am here for. It's my favorite thing to do. I love helping people in their Dubsado. I love making it work for you in the unique way that you do business, and I want it to make sense for you. So if you've already been using Dubsado for years and need some help getting organized, or if you're brand new to Dubsado and just need help setting it up, that is what I'm here for. You can schedule a free 30-minute clarity call with me down below to see if we're a good fit. If you're looking to do this all on your own, I totally support you and I'm here for you. I have a freebie for a client journey workbook to really help you with your work flows. So for you to process out what you want your client journey to be, and you can snag that freebie down below. I really hope it helps you as you consider what it looks like to get your Dubsado operating fully for you in the way you need it to. If this video was super helpful for you, please give me a thumbs up. YouTube loves it when you give me some love and gets this video out to more people. If you need more Dubsado and systems tips and tricks, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I put videos out every week, and I will see you then next week.